Hey guys, this is not where I did my last whiskey review, but I thought I'd give you guys two videos. One, my impressions of the actual whiskey, and one, some information that I found out about the distiller and the whiskey, and I'll give you my thoughts and impressions on that. But Starward, twofold. It is a double grain whiskey. They're calling it twofold. I'm assuming because there's two grains that have gone into it. Now, straight off the back, it says it's a flavour-forward Australian whiskey matured in Australian red wine barrels, an ambitious expression that marries two quintessentially Australian grains, wheat and malted barley, elementally matured in Melbourne's intensively reactive climate, promises to deliver approachable blah 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 toasting notes. So I will cover some of the stuff that they go over that in my second video. But in short, if you believe the marketing and how it's portrayed, they've taken wheat, they've taken grain, they've distilled them, chucked it into a barrel, and shoved the barrel outside. Hence, Starward. Because the angel share goes straight to the stars. Elementally matured means outside, and then after 3 years they shove it in a barrel, into a bottle, I should say. Now, again, I'll cover some of that stuff in the second video, but it's only a 3-year-old whiskey. It was released in November this year, I believe. I don't believe. The first run was 6,000 bottles. The bulk of that is going to the US, surprisingly, or not surprisingly, depending on where you view that. And yeah, there's some neat little things in there that it holds its own, and I think some of the marketing tactics, techniques, or whatever you wish to refer them, kind of detract from what can stand by itself if they're a little bit more honest and forward. So first off, bottle, it's basically the same bottle shape as they use for their other expressions. Very simple, very elegant. The metal foil, that was a finger slice waiting to happen. Now the lid here, the top. First off, the first impressions when you open it are fantastic. It is a black synthetic cork. I've not seen that before. It gives a really nice audible every time, without fail. When you pour it, the bottle shape gives you a satisfying glug without spilling it. And it even has a continuation of some of the artwork on the top. Now, I don't know whether or not this is old whiskey that is dried on the cork, or whether it's a little bit of a trick they're doing. But if you smell this, it smells like a delicious marriage of an aged sherry or a nice deep rich port. But you smell here, and you don't get that same fruitiness. If that is, it is a little bit of a trick, and they've intentionally made that cork smell like that. Kudos, because I know plenty of people who will pop a whiskey and do that wine tradition where they sniff the cork, and that first impression, my God, that is delicious. And I will be honest, it fooled me until I got it into a glass, and then I was a little bit confused. Now, before, when I was reading the back, it says the dynamically extreme weather, or whichever the term is. For those who are not familiar, Melbourne has a little bit of a trait or a thing where they're known as the city with 4 seasons in a day. And that is because their weather in a day is very variable. You can have a beautiful, lovely day one day and a crappy day the next, but you can also have a beautiful morning, a crappy lunch, and a fantastic afternoon. It can oscillate 20-30 degrees centigrade within a single day, and then go back again. It's a very, very dynamic weather, and as such, if you do the maths, 3 years, 4 seasons in a day, that's 4,300 and anyway. It's basically, if you're looking at expansion contraction, you're looking at instead of a 3-year-old whiskey, you're looking closer to a 16 to 20-year-old, which reflects in the colour. Now, I won't go into what goes into it. I will leave this video in saying that it is 60% wheat-based whiskey and a 40% malted barley-based whiskey. They are not a blend in the strict sense. They're not different barrels matured in different spots and then blended together. They are 2 different distillates that are combined into the barrel, then aged 3 years in the barrel. So what you're getting here is the barrels. It is proofed down to 40 ABV. Now, the reason they've done that is this is predominantly, from my understanding, not pitched at those who drink it neat. It is pitched more so to be and this is straight from interviews with David Vitale and their marketing stuff, it is pitched to be a local alternative to imported blends. It's also sort of there to be more of a drink that you would use in cocktails and things like that. Now, it stands on its own 2 feet neat. If you were to compare it to an imported blend, using some of the Starwards there of Monkey Shoulder, of Johnny Walker, Black Douglas, those sort of cheap alternative blends, imported blends, it stands on its own 2 feet quite well. There is some things in here that make you go, well, what? And I can get into that a little bit, and I will cover possibly my thoughts on it in the second video that will tell. But in short, the alcohol burn that you get in the mouth doesn't seem to reflect the other things going on with a whiskey. It doesn't reflect the other flavors that are there, what you're getting on the nose, or anything like that. It's probably the only negative that I can say. I've yet to mix it, but I'm almost certain that it would stand up beautifully as a complementary base spirit for just about any cocktail that you can think of. It's got a very woody tone for something that's using a red wine barrel. I couldn't find much information from the distiller exactly what barrel there is. There's a lot of conflicting information that I found doing a bit of research of this last night about what went into it, the reasons why, and I'll go into that again in the other video. On the nose, it's pleasant. You could drink it all day long. I don't think that you would, though. I think as a whiskey, if you were sharing it amongst friends, you'd probably give it not even that much of a healthy pour. But even if you were on that sort of a healthy pour, you wouldn't get more than 2, maybe 3 to go, yeah, that's all right. What else is there to try? It's a little bit underwhelming, especially at the price point that they've put this at. So this is retailing at $65 direct from the distiller, which is currently about $15 odd, depending on where you can find it. $15 odd more expensive than Monkey Shoulder. It's also putting it into the sort of territory that you would find Glenfiddich and stuff like that when it's on special. Does it stand up against a Glenfiddich? As a neat, I don't think so. As a mixer, probably, because it's got the whiskey tones that you would expect in a cocktail. They're bright and present. It's a very, very fruity, very, very Woodford drink, and it's enjoyable. I would like to see them sort out a more cohesive stance in terms of what they want to do with this whiskey. I would love to see them not address my concerns. My concerns are my concerns, but I would love to see them actually support the market and carry through some of the things that they've said. As a drink, yeah, you would not be disappointed in it. I would anticipate in US hands, it's going to end up being cheaper. That's going to be something that I will cover again in my other video. But yeah, you guys should be able to pick this up when it drops over there, probably around the $50 price point. Would I get it? Yeah, it's a very interesting take on a blend. It's not by any means, I'm sure, the first company that has put multiple different distillates in a barrel, then aged it from there. But you're in effect getting something that has temperature extremes of probably somewhere closer to Texas. So you're getting their sort of rapid barrel aging, but you're not having the same limitations in terms of what the market's wanting and anything like that. They've got that little bit of a room to potentially explore the different options. I don't know. I don't see them not continuing with this. Currently, they only have 4 offerings. They have Nova, Solara. They have a mixed drink, which I believe this is the base for. And that's quite exorbitant price-wise for what you're getting. And they've got Twofold. Twofold, I believe, if my business brain is correct, is going to be their shelf offering. It is going to be their stable thing and everything like that. Nova, they're a little bit restricted in. Solara, it's more of an expression, and they can only do so much with it. They can only manufacture so much anyway. So that's why 60% of this is a wheat-based, and it's actually from an external provider. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Would I get it again? I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't not get it again, but I don't think I'm in a hurry to get it. I'm interested to see how it goes over time. I've spent a long time with it last night, and I mean a long time. I got the bottle the other day. I don't think I'm going to have any more after this for some time, but it'd be interesting to see what happens over time. I think, based on what it is and my thoughts, I think it'll improve quite dramatically. In fact, I hope it does. Anyway, I'm going to go make the other video. I have a metric butt ton of notes for that. That may take a while. Alright guys, cheers.